Today I want to cover Islam Makhachev versus Dan Hooker. The first thing I want to cover is the half guard butterfly. I just want to say I love and hate this position equally. It's an incredibly hard position to deal with. Butterfly guard in general is fantastic for MMA for two reasons. Well, A, it's one really good for sweeping, and it's good for stopping forward pressure. In mixed martial arts, if you're an aggressor and you're dealing with someone's butterfly guard and they start wrapping you up and you're about to get swept and you narrowly avoid it, what's your next option if you can't deal with this guard? You stand back up, which is exactly what the bottom player usually wants. It's a very powerful method of forcing very, very basic decisions. You either try to adjust the guard and get swept, or you back out. The problem with half guard butterfly now is the fact that you have the benefits of the hook, so you have the elevation power, and simultaneously you also have the bottom leg half guard, which allows you to lock in the opponent a little bit more aggressively. So not only do you have the sweeping power, but you also have the elevation. Very, very powerful combination in terms of off-balancing your opponent and then working crafty bottom game tricks, right? Lots of sweeping potential is all I'm trying to get at. And even if you don't miss the sweep, regarding is very, very easy once you have that butterfly hook. The reason why this fight was so special to me was how easy it was for Islam Makhachev to just jump into the position, address all of my pain points with this problem, and then submit his opponent flawlessly. Let's talk about what Dan Hooker did really well and what he did to use that position. He's initially fighting for the underhook, right? So you can see he's trying to elevate, and he's also trying to re-guard back to full butterfly guard. So you can see these two moments. He tries to bring the knee in, and it gets stuck. That's what I want to harp on here. These are two things Dan Hooker just tried, and they're very significant because Islam shuts both of them down simultaneously. Right when he addresses this position, Islam Makhachev's balance is really good, or I just want to note that his balance is really good, and you'll see why in a second. But it's the fact that he's hooking the half guard leg, okay? When he hooks the half guard leg, I was shocked with how well this shut down the butterfly hook. Because you can see what Dan's trying to use the butterfly hook to elevate, use his underhook, and get back to a technical stand-up. But because Makhachev hooks that leg, right, he kills the hook. He can have the hook, but he kills the hook. To a lesser grappler, this might still be an issue because you can still get a hair bit of an elevation. But if you look at the way Makhachev balances himself, he's on 2 points of contact more or less here. He doesn't have the full 3. He's on 2. That's really powerful. That's experience there. So the galaxy brain move then is Hooker does this and he's like, oh, I can't stand up. So I want to go for the regard and we'll get both butterfly hooks, use that to elevate and get him off of me, and we'll get back to my fight. He shuts that down simultaneously with that bottom half guard hook. That was nuts. You see he tries to push on the hip and all of a sudden he tries to bring his knee in and it gets stuck because there's a leg in the way. Once he shuts both of those things down, Makhachev feels the moment and he just grabs the Kimura. He literally just locks up the figure 4. Once he locks up the figure 4, this is the equivalent of the overhand right in grappling. You can lock up Kimuras from a lot of places. Someone can have your back and you can lock up a figure 4 grip on their arm, and the guy on your back has to address this issue. You have an absurd amount of control whenever you lock up that grip. It is very, very, very powerful. Once he establishes the double wrist lock, it doesn't matter what Dan Hooker does. It doesn't matter if he got the elevation, if he actually swept him over. Makhachev is in such a good position to control Hooker that he effortlessly just glides over that hook because it was never doing anything in the first place. I want to touch on Dan Hooker's Kimura reaction. What he does is he tries to grab his hands behind his back, and I wouldn't say that's defense, that's a stalling tactic. And then Makhachev proceeds to kind of adjust and try to fiddle with it. He's buying some time. The finishing blow is when Makhachev decides to step his leg over Hooker's head. Doesn't matter how much of an S grip, doesn't matter if you lock up a gable grip, right? Doesn't matter what kind of grip you have at that point behind your back. Once he puts his leg over the head, hook, line, and sinker, he gets the tap. Very cool multitasking happening during this fight. There was a lot going on in that one little exchange, and I really wanted to just make sure that all those little nuances, all those little transactions that happened there, they didn't go unnoticed. That was very, very, very cool to watch. Very, very cool.